Trust was my foundation. I believed in it wholeheartedly until the day I found my fiancé in bed with another woman, someone I knew through friends. The betrayal was like a physical blow, leaving me stunned and reeling. I barely recall the details of how I left that apartment, only the overwhelming need to escape and to cut him out of my life. I blocked his number, threw his things out, and called it off. But he wouldn't let go, and I ended up having to involve the police as he tried again and again to manipulate his way back into my life. At first, my parents were supportive, but soon their tone shifted. My mother called, urging me to forgive him. My father followed suit, casually dismissing the betrayal, saying, "A moment of weakness doesn't define someone." I felt a simmering anger rise within me. They didn't see my pain. They saw only inconvenience and drama. My father's words hit particularly hard, bringing back old, buried memories of his own infidelities. Growing up, I had noticed the business calls and late nights, the tense family dinners when my mother's eyes would well up, but she'd stay silent. Over time, I'd pieced together that my father had cheated and that my mother tolerated it. I had promised myself, even then, that I'd never let anyone treat me that way. Yet here were my own parents expecting me to forgive a betrayal they had normalized. One evening, I agreed to have dinner with them, determined to confront them. The conversation started tense but polite, until my mother asked me again to reconsider, saying, "Everyone deserves a second chance." I couldn't take it anymore. "Are you seriously telling me to go back to someone who hurt me?" I snapped. "You've spent years letting Dad hurt you, and I swore I'd never be like that." Silence fell over the table, thick and suffocating. My mother looked stunned, my father furious. The words poured out and I couldn't stop them. I refuse to pretend everything's fine while someone disrespects me. I won't live like that. My father's face hardened and his voice took on an edge. "You don't understand. Life isn't black and white." "Maybe not," I replied, my voice cracking. "But I deserve better than a life of half-truths and buried resentment." The silence that followed was unbearable. I felt a strange mix of relief and guilt relief at finally saying what I'd held in for so long. Guilt for seeing the hurt in their eyes. That night, lying awake, I questioned if I'd gone too far. I knew I loved my parents, but loving them didn't mean condoning their choices. I needed to find my own path, one that didn't mirror theirs. In the days that followed, I started therapy to work through the tangled mess of emotions. Each session peeled back another layer, revealing how deeply my parents' relationship had affected my own views on trust and love. Therapy helped me make peace with my anger and grief, allowing me to build my own values instead of inheriting theirs. Eventually, I reached out to my mother, explaining that while I loved them, I couldn't live by their standards. We agreed to disagree on some things, but I finally felt free to set boundaries. Looking back, I understand that betrayals, whether from a lover or family, can break you. But they can also push you to rebuild in a way that's truer to yourself. The trust I thought was shattered forever has been rebuilt, not in others, but in myself. And that's the most valuable freedom I've ever known.